Welcome in to Outkick the Show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. Outkick the Show is presented by Oddshark. Go to Oddshark for all of your gambling and informational related needs. I hope that you guys are having a spectacular Tuesday. We got a great show to run through for you today. Lavar Ball. Well, MJ clapped back. We'll talk about Michael Jordan and what he said about Lavar Ball and why it's the best thing that could happen to Lavar Ball. We'll talk about the snake attacking a lady's face. What's the appropriate response when you see a lady rolling around on the ground with a snake attached to her face? Is it wrong to not do anything at all? Am I a snakeist for saying I would be fine with all snakes being executed at any point in time? I'm fine with a destruction of the snake population. I think the world would be a better place without snakes. Why does MSESPN's left-wing obsession with Colin Kaepernick continue? Is it possible for them to more positively endorse any person ever? And Steph Curry crashes a house party, why it was an awesome thing to do and how it's worth millions to his image and something that you can't fake. At least I don't believe so. Let's begin right now with the story that is sweeping the internet. Michael Jordan has finally fired back at Lavar Ball's suggestion that he would win a one-on-one basketball game, saying, and roughly I quote, that he would beat Lavar Ball playing on one leg. Now maybe Michael Jordan is right. Everybody doubtless ran straight to Twitter and they said, oh, look at what happened. Michael Jordan, he killed Lavar Ball. And you know what that did? It just made Lavar Ball more money. I'm telling you right here and now. Most people don't understand how the game is played. Michael Jordan firing back at Lavar Ball is the best thing that's happened to Lavar Ball in probably his entire career so far. Because immediately, what did Lavar Ball say? He would play Michael Jordan with one hand behind his back, one-on-one, and Michael Jordan could play on one leg. People don't understand. When I worked in politics, number one lesson of politics is don't address your foe if you are trouncing them. Because all it does is legitimize your foe. And everybody who ever works in politics will tell you this is the case, right? That the number one way that you can legitimize the person that you are running against is by addressing them by name. If you never address them by name, never agree to debate them, never agree to acknowledge them, you're not going to lose a race, right? The favorite should never address his opponent unless he starts to actually feel as if he or she is going to lose a race. That's the number one rule of politics. So Lavar Ball can sit around taking pot shots all day long, and he's like the fly that's buzzing around Michael Jordan's head. And Michael Jordan's probably been asked about it. He's probably been out in public. People have wanted to know his opinion of Lavar Ball for a very long time. And then he finally reaches out and swats the fly. And everybody on social media lines up, probably immediately deluges Lavar Ball's feed with all these people, you know, like that video of that kid running around with his hand covered, all these different memes saying, oh, Lavar Ball, you got served. Oh, my God, that's so unbelievable. Look at what Michael Jordan said about you. And what those people don't understand is that their first thought is, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go tell Lavar Ball what Michael Jordan said about him. And look, I learned a long time ago, and I've talked about this. In social media, I initially was really stunned when I would pick who I thought was going to win a game. You guys know I love to gamble. And if you can win 60% of your games, you're an all-star. And the last several years, we've been around 58%, all right? And that means that I lose 42% of the time. What amazes me is the number of fans whose first thought when their team wins a massive game is not to celebrate. It's not to drink a beer. It's not to grab their wives and go try to have sex with them. It's to get on social media and tweet me, ha ha, you suck, Travis. You thought one team was going to win and the other team won. And when this first started happening, I was in disbelief. Like I remember when I first signed up for Twitter, that first year, it was like 2009, and I started doing gambling picks and I gave out predictions, and sometimes I was right and sometimes I was wrong. And I was stunned. I was like, man, do that many people really love coming in and teeing off? And what I also found was people don't typically credit your wins. Like I win 58% of the time in the last several years. A lot of times I'm right. It's most of the time people don't get on Twitter or Facebook or email and say, hey, great call there. You nailed it. Man, your free pick that I went and bet after looking at that made me a lot of money. Man, you're an awesome dude. Thank you so much. No, you only hear when you lose. And so people, as soon as you lose a game, they'll be like, told you, faded you. That's another guy we need to add to the list. I may hate this guy more than anybody. After taxes guy, we got, what's the list of people that I hate? Somebody tweeted them out yesterday. The guys that I've gone after all the time, like the guys that I hate. Fade guy is the worst. Fade guy is the worst of all the guys. If you are fade guy, what you're basically saying is you don't have genitals. Because fade guy is saying, I don't even have, fake black guy actually may be a worse guy. After taxes guy, trade clause guy, we got fade guy, we need resign versus fired guy, all four of those. Fake black guy is the worst. Okay, Sean King is the worst. The worst human being on earth is the white guy pretending to be black because he makes more money running around like Sean King. Fake black guy is number one. Second worst guy is fade guy. Because if you break down fade guy, all he's really saying is, I don't have the balls to actually make a decision on my own. So I'm just going to see what your opinion is and go in the opposite direction, which logically makes no sense. Because if you're truly awful at picking games, it's just as hard to be truly awful at picking games as it is to be truly great at picking games, right? If I was so bad at picking games that I went 4-16 every week, I would make a ton of money because I would just do the opposite of whatever I was going to do. It's every bit as hard mathematically to go 5-15 as it is to go 15-5, right? So fade guy makes no sense because basically what he's saying is he's waving a big billboard that says, I'm a pussy, right? Because he's basically unable to make his own opinion. So fade guy is the worst, and you hear a lot from fade guy. But the ultimate impact of all this, and the reason I'm coming back around on it on Lavar Ball, is because Lavar Ball wins. The moment that everybody else comes out and says, you know what, I care what Lavar Ball's opinion is about anything, or I care about people going anti-Lavar Ball, he gets rich. Skip Bayless makes $6 million a year. How many really good opinions does Skip Bayless have? Yet people on Twitter are like, oh, did you see they just served him? Oh, and like I remember when Dabo Swinney won the national championship. One of the first things he said in the post-game press conference was he made fun of Colin Cowherd and the fact that Cowherd had picked Alabama to win. And I remember thinking right then and there, like, this is the best possible thing that could happen to Colin Cowherd, such that I immediately texted Cowherd. And I said, man, I would pay a lot of money for a head coach right after he wins a national championship to get up on the stage and say, Clay Travis is one dumb son of a bitch. Be the greatest thing that could happen in my career, right? Because what do I care? Now, people on Twitter would be like, oh, how you going to recover from this, Clay? Dabo Swinney just went at you. Ooh. And I'd be like, cha-ching, motherfucker. Because all it does is increase the amount of interest in what my opinions are, right? And if you've got smart opinions, yeah, Colin loved it. Colin loved it. He loves, people are like the other day, I saw where somebody tweeted like, oh, you got a bunch of hot takes or something, like the Carolina Panthers or somebody like tweeted back at him, the team, and everybody on Twitter's like, ooh. And I'm like, cha-ching. Like, do you guys not know how the game's played? You score your little points, and I will sit here and take all the criticism you want to give me, and every time I get criticized, I make more money. It's amazing. Now, if you become a shill and you don't actually believe what you're saying, that's when I think you become a loser. And look, you can criticize me for a lot. I don't think you can point to a single opinion I've ever had that I don't legitimately have. And my opinions change. Sometimes people come out, like my guy at Old Takes Exposed. That guy will come out at me and be like, oh, you said 4 years ago this. I'm like, yeah, 4 years ago the details were different. I mean, I think about arguments like a lawyer, right? And I've always said this. I've said it on the radio show. I think I've said it on here before. If you aren't adjusting your opinions based on what people say or games that happen, then you aren't being very intelligent. Just like if you're a lawyer and you're arguing a case and you're not considering the cases that have happened since you filed your case, you're not considering how the precedent might have changed. I believe a team's better, and then a game's played, and I have to go back and reassess my overall take on that game. People said, oh, how did you have one opinion on Ronda Rousey in 2015, and then you had a different opinion in 2016, and then you had a different opinion in 2017. Shouldn't you have had a different opinion in every year if you're being honest? In 2015, Ronda Rousey was an undefeated, luminescent star streaking across the night sky. In 2016, she suddenly lost to Holly Holm. And in 2017, she got her ass beat and looked like she didn't belong in the ring at all. My opinion is going to evolve over the course of those 3 years based on the added information that I have. You know, the people I think are dishonest are the people who have an opinion about someone or something, and then no matter what happens outside of that, they don't ever change their opinion. So LaVar Ball is playing the media like a fiddle. He got Michael Jordan to respond. Everybody out there's like, oh, I can't believe LaVar Ball. People responded like, well, I mean, there's an interest in LaVar Ball. He may be a clown, but he's an entertaining clown. So I change my opinion every day. If I didn't change my opinion every day, I wouldn't ask you to trust me at all. Like, I have to change my opinion every day based on the surrounding circumstances of teams and games and players. So LaVar versus Michael Jordan. This thing, and yeah, like the Shaq diss track, people are like, oh, LaVar Ball really got it now. No, he didn't. Look, I've said this before, but I'm going to reiterate it. All publicity is good publicity as long as you don't go to jail. Like Tack, what is his name? Tack McKinley coming after me because I made fun of his stupid grandma picture. People are like, oh, Tack got you. You're in trouble now. Why? He's an idiot for tearing a picture of his grandmother on the stage. My opinion didn't change about him. DeMarcus Cousins, oh, he got you. 5 years later, he didn't get arrested. Okay, so I was wrong about that opinion. Like, all that stuff is positive for me. People out there are like, oh, you're never going to recover from this. Bitch, I live for this. It's like back in the day, remember Brer Rabbit? Brer Rabbit back in the day, he's like, don't throw me in the briar patch. Don't throw me in the briar patch. I live in the briar patch. You know, like, don't wrestle with the pig. Pig likes the mud. That's me. The Delta apologized. Delta called me yesterday and apologized. They said that I was right, that they shouldn't have conducted a medical exam of my son in public, and that the entire family shouldn't have been banned off of the flight based on one kid having lice, which are two things that I wrote in my article. They apologized. They gave me thousands of dollars in compensation, and because I was right. And they acknowledged that they were wrong, and they apologized. They said they've reprimanded the flight attendants who were involved in our story, right? And so people are like, oh, Clay, Travis, like, oh, Delta, oh. And I'm like, cha-ching, 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 right? I just win. That's all I do. And so that's how the game's played. You can either like it or you can dislike it, but at least understand the way the media works, such that because somebody says something mean about you, it doesn't have any actual substantive impact. Nothing lasts, as long as you're not charged with a crime, nothing lasts longer than 24 hours. So the reason why I bring up the Delta thing is when I did Inside Edition yesterday, the family I was on Inside Edition interviewed yesterday. And the Inside Edition guy, they didn't put this in the interview, but he said, man, people are saying some mean things about you online. Are you okay? I'm like, do you read my Twitter feed? People say mean things about me online every day, and they have been for a decade. And all that does is increase the number of people who pay attention to what I say. Because you know what? Some people say, oh, I can't believe Clay Travis said this. And they're like, this is offensive, this is unacceptable. But even when that person shares it, they might have 10 friends who see it. And 3 or 4 of those friends are going to read my opinion. They're going to be like, you know what? I kind of agree with this guy. This guy's actually right. And they may not say it to their friend. But if you have 10 friends, chances are 3 or 4 of them disagree with whatever opinion you have, right? And they see me and they're like, I kind of like this guy. And then they've got 10 friends and they share it and they say, this guy's awesome. And 6 of them agree. And 4 of them are like, I hate this guy. And that's kind of the way things go, right? Same way with politics. That's what I learned in politics. You're never going to be liked by everybody. So if you worry about being liked by everybody, Charles Barkley actually told me this, then nobody ends up liking you. So that's the name of the game in media. You know, like I don't worry about the people who dislike me. Okay, snake attack. Did you see the snake attack? This is one of the most unbelievable stories I have ever seen. All right? This thing is phenomenal. You need to go listen to the Outkick the Coverage morning show. If you have not heard the 911 call, I'm telling you right now, go to iTunes, search Outkick, download the show, hour 3 if you don't want to listen to the first 2 hours. Scroll through to the start, the end of hour 2, I think is when we played it for the first time, and then we played it at the beginning of hour 3. This woman, 45-year-old woman, first of all, has 11 snakes. Now, I don't know about you guys, but there's not a single woman on earth that if she had 11 snakes in her house, I would date her. I don't care how hot she is. No woman is hot enough to make up for 11 snakes. So she has 11 snakes, and 2 of them are rescue snakes, which I guess means that like the what's the place the place that takes all the animals, the pound puppy, whatever. What's the place called? What's the place called where they take all the animals in? Rescue snakes. I guess they take them in like the not the Salvation Army, Humane Society. Yeah, the Humane Society. All right, so the Humane Society has them. Humane Society has all of these different animals. And I guess people get tired of snakes, and they take in snakes too, and that's just insane to me. There is not enough money you could pay me to have a snake. And I'll tell you why. Because every person who has a snake, the snake somehow gets out of the cage. I've never heard of anybody that has had a snake that hasn't had the snake escape at some point. And the moment that I found out a snake escaped and was loose in my house, I'm gone. I'm not living in that house anymore. I'm not dating any girl who likes snakes. I think they're freaky. If you want to go buy mice and feed them to people, I have no idea. She might kill me at some point. This woman has 11 snakes. 2 of them are rescued from the Humane Society. Out of nowhere, this snake bites her nose. And the snake bites her nose and it won't let go. So she rushes outside. Gets her phone, calls 911, and you can hear all this on the 911 call. Happened in Ohio. 45-year-old woman with 11 snakes in her house. The snake will not get off of her face. You can hear all this. Again, we got the audio that's up on Outkick the Coverage. You can go listen to the beginning of hour 3 on our morning show. We played it. And the snake will not get off the face. The beginning of hour 3, you can go listen to it. And the snake is all over her face. And they ended up, this is an amazing story, they ended up having to cut the snake's head off because they couldn't get it to release her nose. So all the people show up, all the paramedics, and some bastard has to pull out a knife and cut the snake head off of a 5.5-foot long python. Now, I got asked this on the Memphis radio show with John Martin and his crew, and he said to me, it's a good question, what would you do if you were driving down the street and you saw a 5.5-foot snake on top of a woman and she was out in her yard? I would call 911. I would not get out of the car. Maybe that makes me a pussy. Maybe some of you are going to say, D-Bat, I'm not a snake guy. I believe that the world would be better if there were no snakes. I would kill, like I've lived in the Virgin Islands, no snakes. I've heard in Hawaii, no snakes. Those islands are totally snake-free, and they're called paradise. Why do we need snakes? I'm not a biologist, but I think what would happen if we had snakes, didn't have snakes, if we basically just executed all snakes, like they did back when St. Patrick killed all the snakes in Ireland. You can't tell me Ireland's not a better place without snakes. Just can't tell me. I don't know why anybody would say that the world is better with snakes. I think they're wrong. I don't think we need them. I would execute all snakes. What's the order in Star Wars where they killed all the Jedis? They execute order 11 or whatever it was. I would, if I were president, execute order whatever it is, order 66. We would go out and we would kill all the snakes. And that would be order 67. Everybody as a group in the country, we're just going out and we're trying to kill every snake all at once. I think the country would be a better place. Not an expert on what that would do biologically, but I think it would be fine. All right, got to tell you guys all about it. By the way, claytravis@gmail.com. We're almost sold out for the entire fall on advertisers, and I got a couple of different options here as we roll into a new advertiser, ZipRecruiter. Are you hiring? Do you know where to post your job to find the best candidates? With ZipRecruiter, you can post your job to 100+ job sites with just one click. Then their powerful technology efficiently matches the right people to your job better than anyone else. That's why ZipRecruiter is different. Unlike other job sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. In fact, over 80% of jobs posted on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just 24 hours. No juggling emails or calls to your office. Simply screen, rate, and manage candidates all in one place with ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use dashboard. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by businesses of all sizes to find the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, my listeners can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/Outkick. ZipRecruiter.com/Outkick. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Outkick. And one more time to try it for free, ZipRecruiter.com/Outkick. And I'm telling you right now, you will be glad that you did. All right, does anybody disagree with my idea of killing all the snakes? Maybe Hugh Freeze is on ZipRecruiter right now. Maybe that's the best way for Hugh Freeze to get a job. Great idea. Hugh Freeze got to go out and get a job. I'm telling you right now, it makes total sense. That is perfect. Snakes should be all gone. All right, a couple of other things I wanted to hit on. Have you guys kept up? I honestly, I can't believe we're still talking about this, but I said on my radio show yesterday, I said, Colin Kaepernick is now the most covered free agent in the history of the NFL. He's been covered more than Brett Favre, first ballot Hall of Famer. He's been covered more than Peyton Manning, first ballot Hall of Famer. He's been covered more than Drew Brees. There has never been a story covered as aggressively by MSESPN as Colin Kaepernick. And that's why soon we're going to have anti-MSESPN shirts. We're going to have a big MSESPN logo, and there's going to be a line through it, and it's going to be for sale at OutkickGear.com. We are going to have the shirts for sale. I'll be wearing them. I want you to wear them to all sporting events and drive ESPN's cameramen crazy with your anti-MSESPN signs. I want them everywhere. I want them like whole fraternities showing up in games in the anti-MSESPN shirt. I want to drive ESPN crazy over their eternal bitchdom when it comes to Colin Kaepernick, because they are treating him like he is modern day Gandhi, like he is the most amazing person that has ever existed in the history of sports. Every time I think they can't go more left wing, they go more left wing in the Colin Kaepernick business. And it's almost like what's amazing is nobody will even mention the fact that he said modern day police, that police are modern day slave catchers. How in the world are people like, I don't know why Colin Kaepernick can't get employed? Would you be employed at your business if you called police modern day slave catchers? Like, everybody wants to talk about the protest. The modern day slave catchers comment is infinitely worse than the protest. The protest was dumb and had no basis in fact, and Colin Kaepernick probably isn't smart enough to even understand how stupid his protest was. But the modern day slave catcher line is by far the most indefensible thing that Colin Kaepernick has said. And now the city of Baltimore, which has, I believe, the worst per capita murder rate in the entire country, and among the worst police and citizen relationships in the entire country, thinks it's a good idea to go employ a guy who said that police are modern day slave catchers. It's one of the worst ideas I've ever heard of. Again, Baltimore, if you want to talk about the impact of Black Lives Matter, they have created a virtual dead zone, literally, where people are killing themselves like crazy in Baltimore at rates never seen before. That's the simple truth. And as a result of these protests, they're actually making it more dangerous for young black kids. And then you're going to bring in somebody who has made the relationship between young people in Baltimore and police even more toxic than it already was, because he's telling them that police are modern day slave catchers. Good luck trying to convince somebody to respect the police when somebody in a position of prominence like Colin Kaepernick is saying that. Even Chicago doesn't have as bad of a per capita murder rate right now as Baltimore. It's unbelievable, unprecedented, and incredibly crazy that nobody at ESPN, aka MSESPN, will step up and call Colin Kaepernick out for being the punk that he is. And that's why we're going to sell thousands of anti-MSESPN shirts, and we're going to drive them insane during college football and college basketball season, and also probably during the NFL. We are going to sell so many of these shirts, and I want you guys out there waving the flag effectively of Outkick, driving them insane. All right, also, anti-cap shirts is not a bad idea. Finally, Steph Curry crashes a party. You know why I love guys like Steph Curry? Is first of all, he made fun of LeBron James for that goofy workout video. That was actually pretty funny at Harrison Barnes' wedding. And then after the wedding, he goes up, gets changed out of his tuxedo, puts on a t-shirt, decides he wants to keep partying, and shows up at a random dude's place full of 20-somethings and goes in there and parties. If you haven't seen it, you need to go check out my Twitter feed at Clay Travis. TMZ has got pictures up, probably because these guys are like, nobody's going to believe us. Inevitably, they had a couple of buddies who also were supposed to be at that party, and then they ended up doing something else, and they're going to be like, hey, Steph Curry's here. And they're going to be like, no, he's not. And he's like, we got to Snapchat with him. We got to take pictures with him. We got to make sure that we have evidence that he's actually there. And I love it because both of those things make Steph Curry incredibly authentic. See, my issue with LeBron James is I think he's full of crap. I think LeBron James, when you break it down, is totally full of crap. I think everything that he does is calculated. I think he's desperate to be liked. And if you're desperate to be liked, that means that you probably aren't a very likable person, right? Because inside, you're unhappy. And so Colin Kaepernick, LeBron James, all these people out here trying to do calculated things to make people like him. And then all Steph Curry has to do is make fun of LeBron James and then that same night show up and have a couple of beers with dudes at a house party that aren't expecting him. Just knock on the door, go in, and have fun. What an awesome move by Steph Curry. Makes me like him a lot more. Makes me feel better about rooting for Steph Curry. I'll talk on this tomorrow. But speaking of Gate, it has now been 2 months, and there remains zero public evidence that LeBron James was ever the victim of a racist hate crime. 2 months, boys and girls, and there remains zero public evidence that LeBron James was ever the victim of a racist hate crime. Keep that in mind. Ask yourself this question, which I think is a really good one. Why am I the only person in the media that you've heard pointing this out? After everybody tried to compare LeBron James, including himself, to Emmett Till, LeBron James still zero evidence that it ever happened at all. All right. Any questions from you guys? Rapid fire here to finish off the show. I'm headed to Costa Rica tomorrow, but I'll try to do an early show. My thanks, by the way, before I get going any further, SeatGeek. Go download the SeatGeek app right now. You'll be glad that you did. Go to the settings tab, click add a promo code, put in the promo code OUTKICK, and you will be well on your way to saving a bundle, including $20 your first purchase. You guys are going to be going to a lot of college football and NFL games this fall. Make sure that you get the best possible deal on your tickets. If you don't have them already, you can set price alerts on your phone. It's actually really fun. It's like playing the stock market. You can check and see what the value is of the seats based on the seat value location. I'm going to Mercedes-Benz Arena or Dome or whatever that place is called for Bama FSU on Saturday. And on Monday, I'm going to go to Tennessee, Georgia Tech. We'll be doing the show Monday and Tuesday right after Labor Day live from Atlanta. And I'm going to go down there and I'm going to check it out, probably buy a couple of extra tickets for people. And what I've got done is already I've set a price alert on my phone to figure out whether I'm getting the best deal or not. It's the best way to buy tickets the entire season long. Download the SeatGeek app, go into the settings tab, click add a promo code, put in the promo code OUTKICK. That's OUTKICK if you're a Bama fan and you have no idea how to spell it. And you'll be well on your way to saving $20 with your first purchase and hundreds, if not thousands of dollars over the course of a season. You will be glad that you did it. Do I think Kyrie Irving did Gate? Hey, got to do whatever you can to get somebody to trade you. I appreciate all of you. I will try to be live tomorrow on this show, but I will certainly be live tomorrow from 6 to 9 a.m. on Outkick the Coverage. 250 AM FM stations nationwide, including Sirius XM Channel 83. I love all of you. So far, I don't believe that Donald Trump has fired anyone today. Pour one out for the mooch. Check out ZipRecruiter and SeatGeek. I appreciate all of you. August, off and running with a bang. I'm headed down to Costa Rica tomorrow afternoon, but I'll try to do one more show of this for the week. And then later in the week, we will be doing more shows, probably from down in Costa Rica. Love you guys. New T-shirts are going up on around mid-August. That's when we're going to announce Outkick Premium, and the new shirts will all be launched at the same time. I love all of you. Thank you for spending your Tuesday with me. Go out there and tell people if they're not listening to Clay Travis, if they're not listening to Outkick the Show, there's only one thing that they're doing. They're wasting their lives. I'll see you guys. I'm Clay Travis. This has been Outkick the Show. D-BAP, boys and girls. Kisses from me to all of you. I'll be back tomorrow on Outkick the Coverage.